Many times when making a game, you'll need to create an impassable object that blocks other objects' movements. We can do this in Construct 2 with the solid behavior. Let's take a look at the solid behavior and how it can be used with some of the other behaviors available. In Construct 2, an object with the solid behavior is used to create an obstacle that stops other objects' movement if they collide with the solid object. Walls are the most obvious example of this. By placing a wall sprite in your level and giving it the solid behavior, it will act as a wall, and other objects won't be able to pass through it. The solid behavior has no properties, actions, or events associated with it, other than set-enabled, which allows you to turn the solid behavior on or off. You simply add it to the object you want to be solid, and that's it. With a solid object, it's all about how other objects are going to react to it, depending on their behaviors. I have a few layouts set up here to demonstrate how different behaviors interact with solid objects. In our first example, we'll be using the platform behavior. In this layout, these ground objects are solid, and this character has the platform behavior. A solid object will block an object with the platform behavior applied. So our character can stand on the ground and is blocked by it when trying to jump while underneath it. I have this character set up so he can shoot bullets out of his face. The bullets that he shoots have the bullet behavior applied to them. The bullet behavior has a property called bounce off solids, which is set to no by default. If you set it to yes, the bullets will bounce off of solid objects, changing their direction. The next behavior that's affected by solid objects is the 8-direction behavior. Before I preview the layout, let's take a look at the house object's collision polygon. I've added 4 more points and added a recession around the doorway. Only the parts of the object contained inside the collision polygon will be treated as solid obstacles. So with this house, the doorway will not be an obstacle. The player will be able to walk there, but not anywhere on the walls of the house, since those are within the collision polygon. If I test it out, the player is blocked by the walls of the house, but they can enter into the doorway. By doing this, I could add a trigger over the doorway, so when the player overlaps it, they'll be transferred inside of the house to a separate layout. Next, we have the car behavior. The car behavior has a property called friction, which slows the object with the car behavior down when it collides with a solid object. Friction is set by a number between 0 and 1, so a value of 1 would be 100% friction. When the car drives into the truck, which is a solid object, the car comes to a stop. If I set friction to a lower number, like 0.5, the car slides along the solid object for a moment before it's brought to a stop. It's taking a little longer for the car to be stopped with a lower friction value. Another behavior affected by solid objects is the line of sight behavior. Basically, the line of sight behavior checks to see if two objects can see each other, meaning they are close enough to each other to see each other, and there are no solid obstacles between them, blocking their line of sight. Here, I have 2 different alien objects, each with the line of sight behavior applied. They each have 2 frames, one smiling and one frowning. In the event sheet, I've set it up so that if they can see each other, they will switch to the smiling frame, and if their line of sight is blocked, they'll switch to the frowning frame. These blocks have the solid behavior applied to them, and they'll fall down to the ground, which will block the alien's line of sight. Let's check it out. At first, they can see each other, so they're smiling. But as the blocks fall to the ground, their line of sight is broken, and they're sad now. If I click the blocks, they'll be destroyed, and the 2 aliens will be back in each other's line of sight, so they're happy again. Last, we have the pathfinding behavior. The pathfinding behavior will generate a grid over the entire layout and use solid objects to determine which areas will be avoided while calculating a path. Basically, it calculates a path around all solid objects. Here, the ball has the pathfinding behavior applied, and the wall objects have the solid behavior applied. Clicking on a point in the layout will cause the ball to calculate a path, and then move along that path, avoiding all solid objects. Even though the solid behavior doesn't have any properties or events associated with it, there's still quite a bit that can be done with it. It's one of the fundamental aspects of game creation within Construct 2. You'll be using this behavior a lot, so it's important to have a good understanding of what can be done with it. Thanks for watching. If you found this content helpful, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Comment, like, and share this video, and subscribe for more tutorials. See you next time.